Hi disciple, this is Jetsu. If you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. And for those who coming back to my channel, thank you for coming back to my channel and for subscribing to my channel. Today I want to look at the resurrection. And when we think of the resurrection, we think of rebirth and renewal. So we're looking at Christ resurrect from the grave. In John 1, 2, and 3, John said, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh, and the Word manifest among us." So the Word was Jesus, and Jesus manifested in the flesh. God allowed His Son to manifested in the flesh, that through His Son we may have salvation. So the resurrection is Jesus' blood, because honor the resurrection, we have the new covenant. Because way back when they were using lamb and animals for sacrificial, that wasn't enough anymore for God. Man multiplied and man became very, very disrespectful, very, very evil. The world was in turmoil, and the world still is in turmoil. So God sent His Son to die on the cross, that through His Son's death, there's a renewal in spirit. There is a renewal in life. There is life after the resurrection, because Jesus' death is Jesus won over death. Grave, where is thy sting? There is no more sting. Jesus won over death. So that was the resurrection, the new covenant, and the renewal of life, renewal of spirit. So in John 2:19, Jesus was talking to the Pharisees and all the people that were at the temple. And Jesus said, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I rebuild it." They at the temple at the time did not understand what Jesus was saying. Jesus was speaking of His living, breathing body at the time. That was His temple. And this is the reason why our body is God's temple. So He was talking to them that if they destroy Him, the flesh, in 3 days, He's gonna rise from the dead. But they didn't understand. So let us look at the resurrection. So, as we know, the resurrection taking place by Caiaphas and the scribes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and they all turning Jesus over to the Romans, who was having Jesus like a ping pong, put in one place, sending one place to another, to Caesar's, and so forth. All of this happening is because Jesus allowed it. You have to remember one thing. Jesus laid down His life. So they weren't doing all of these things because they can do it. No, 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 no. They were doing it because Jesus laid down His body. Jesus allowed it. They cannot do anything without Jesus in command. So I just want you to get that straight. So let us look at the resurrection and look at the disciples. Are we going to put our mind back 2,000 and so plus years ago? What was going on in Jerusalem? Look what's going on in our world now with the virus. Man is in turmoil right now. Man like the world to be going certain way. And if it's not going certain way, they're in turmoil. So everybody's hearing the news and everybody's seeing what's going on. So it's the talk of the town what's going on now in our world today. That's like 2,000 years plus after the resurrection. So let's look back now on the resurrection, what was going on in Jerusalem. Let's put our mind back 2,000 years later and see what those people was hearing, what was the news, what they were doing. So now the resurrection take place because Jesus laid Himself down. So after the resurrection, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will rise it again. So Jesus was buried, and in 3 days, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb. So when Mary went to the tomb, Mary was expecting to see Jesus in the tomb. Because like I said, nobody's getting what He's saying. In 3 days, I will rise again. So when she went to the tomb, on her way to the tomb, she got to the tomb. Lo and behold, with such a massive tons of weight of the closing of the tomb, it was rolled away, and Mary was spoken to by the angel, I guess, who alert her that whoever she's looking for is no longer there. She was distorted. She was in daze. She was saddened. Because you have to remember one thing. Let's see what disease Mary has. Mary Magdalene has the dedicated disease. That's what a lot of us need, dedication, the dedicated disease. So she has that. If you notice, it's 11, 12, I would say 11 disciples. I don't know where Judas was at the time. But she has that level of dedication that she was the first one gone to the tomb. In all four Gospels, you don't mention everybody, but you see Mary Magdalene show in all four Gospels because of her dedication. She has the dedication disease. And that's what me, you, all of us need. That level of dedication. Her dedication metastasized in her body. Ours, we may have a little bit, but we need it to get to stage 4, metastasize. The dedication, the level of dedication that we need. So now she's at the tomb, and she was told, who you're looking for, your Jesus you're looking for is no longer there. So now she got up herself and she ran back to where the disciples are gathering. Let's picture the disciples. They're in this room. They were afraid of the Romans, and they were very, very afraid of the Romans. So they all stayed together in this room. Now the door opened and Mary Magdalene came in and let them know, I can't find Jesus. They assume the body should be there. So they jump up and they run to the tomb to see what is Mary talking about. She can't find Jesus. Lo and behold, they saw the same thing. Jesus is gone. At that time, they still did not realize in 3 days destroy the temple and I will rise it again. So lo and behold, with all that's going on, all this chattery amongst them in that room, secluded, hiding from the Romans. So in that room, after Jesus presented himself to Mary prior to get to the disciples and let them know the news, now they gather in the room, they're chattery, and now Jesus presents himself to them in the room. Now, the evidence is there. That's what happened to a lot of us. We are doubtful Thomas. We don't believe. And we always want seeing is belief. You see, they have their finger on Thomas, but little did they know they all were Thomas. Like us today, we all are Thomas. We doubt, we like to see something present in our eyes before we believe. Even when danger is coming, somebody says danger is coming. If we don't see it, we don't believe. But sometimes it's going to be too late when we see it. When we saw it, it's going to be too late. So they gather in the room and now Jesus showed himself. And now this is when they're going to realize the statement that Jesus was making, destroy this temple and in 3 days I will let it rise again. So to go back to the disciples, I'm making a point right here to let you see what I'm saying. Just picture yourself 2,000 years back in Jerusalem. This is the talk of the town and everybody's talking. It's like the virus there. Everybody's talking. Everybody's watching news. Well, they didn't have TV back then, but the news was the word of mouth. This was a big thing in town, big news. A man raised from the dead. How could that possible? That never happened before. So it was a big chattery going on. Chattery, everybody talking about it. And of course, 99.9%, all of them probably didn't believe. Probably just a few believed. But one thing for sure, the disciples, they believe. And those who get to see Jesus after he rise from the dead, believe. So my disciples, I wanted to put your mind back and see the disciples. They all sitting down. I know Jesus shows himself. And now they believe because they were there at the crucifixion. He was crucified. They pierced his side. And now he's sitting down in front with them, talking to them. So now you see why. For all these thousands of years with the disciples back then in Jerusalem, all of those disciples that were traveling along with Jesus, they stayed on course. Why? Because they saw something we did not see. They saw a man put up on the cross and taken down. They saw a man crucified and taken down. So now you see why they stayed on track. Paul was not a disciple, but he also got the vision. He's also heard the voice in the clouds. So he believed. So if you notice, Peter, Paul, John, James, Phillips, all of them, they stayed on track. They didn't detour because they saw something that we did not see. So we believe without seeing, but they have the evidence. They were the witness. So you see, this is the reason why they did not go sideways. They just stay on track because there was something proven to them. While we have the words and we still believe. So my fellow disciples, I just want you to let you know that sometimes we need to believe without seeing. And the resurrection is renewal of life, renewal of spirit, and the new covenant that God set for men, that under Jesus' blood, we have salvation. This is a new covenant. So until then, my disciples, I just want to let you know that sometimes we need to believe without seeing. Because sometimes if we don't believe and we're waiting and seeing, it's going to be too late. So until then, my fellow disciples, remember, God first, man second. God first, man second. So if you like what you heard, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. Thank you, and God bless you.